Hi everyone, we're going to read chapters 9 and 10 of Playing Atari with Saddam Hussein today. Sorry I didn't upload it yesterday, I was having some technical difficulties, so fingers crossed today works. So this is chapter 9, and the day is Monday, January 21st, 1991. This is day 6. Flip, flip. I'm lying on my bed reading my Superman comics. I have over 100 comics in my collection, my most prized possession. Whenever the real world overwhelms me, I like to retreat into Superman's universe. I'm trying not to be depressed that I don't have a new comic to read. On a normal Monday after school, I would stop at the corner market where I would buy the newest issue. But a couple of weeks ago, the comics just stopped coming. My comics are published in Arabic, but they have the same illustrations and stories as Superman comics around the world. Today, I am immersed in an epic battle between Superman and Skyhook. Ali! Shirzad bursts into my room without knocking. Get up, Mustafa is here. There's some crazy stuff going on at the high school. I'm busy, I say, dismissing him. Whoop! My brother lands on me, hard. My first instinct is to protect my comic. I hold it out, away from the knucklehead who is squashing me. All right, get off. Shirzad rolls off me and watches as I carefully insert my comic in its rightful place. I keep my comics in numerical order on my bookcase. Let's go, freak, Shirzad says. Jealous, I counter. Shirzad wastes his allowance on candy and junk food. With Superman in his proper place, I throw on a t-shirt and climb into my sneakers. We go out and meet Mustafa, who is hanging out on the front porch. On American television, the girls are different from Basra girls. American girls wear t-shirts and jeans, just like boys. Basra girls wear dresses and skirts. American girls talk to boys and hang out casually with them. American teenagers date and hold hands and kiss. In Basra, boys and girls basically stay apart. The only girls I've ever talked to much are my sister, Shireen, and my female cousins. When we pass a small group of girls, I can't help it. I sneak a peek. Usually the girls do not notice me. As the neighborhoods get increasingly downtrodden, Shirzad, Mustafa, and I begin jogging. People and buildings blur into one another as we pick up speed. I reach the high school last, bemoaning my short legs. I feel even smaller when I see what's going on. At least 100, maybe even 200 high school guys dressed in youth military uniforms stand stiff and straight. They all hold long rifles called AK-47s against their shoulders, barrels pointed towards the sky. One man stands apart, facing the squad. He barks orders, commands that I don't know, but the squad does. They spin their rifles, march in place, raise their arms, and shout, "Yes, sir!" At first it looks so cool and totally intimidating. I mean, it's like watching a high school football team in a championship game with weapons. Any one of these guys would have intimidated me if I ran into him on the street. And then one guy stumbles. He bumps into the person next to him, who drops his gun. I tense, expecting the gun to go off, but fortunately the safety must be on. The instructor goes nuts. Nuts! And then, in front of me, the military unity crumbles away. Guys start turning on each other. They shove, complain, or just walk away. What was I thinking, being impressed by these guys? The man in charge is no longer in charge. He has given up on yelling and walks over to us. To my surprise, he slaps Mustafa on the back. Look at them, he says. A bunch of clowns, right? Ali Ahmed, I say. I didn't recognize you. Ali Ahmed is Mustafa's cousin. All the time he was growing up, he came in and out of Mustafa's house, just as I did. When I was little, he used to throw me up on his shoulders and carry me around. When we played cowboys and Indians, he'd give me hints about where the enemy was, and helped keep me in games longer than I would have if I'd been playing without him. I look around at the armed soldiers. Most of them are teenagers, I realize now. Trust me, Ali Ahmed is saying. This was not my first choice of assignments, but... You! Yes, you! Secure your rifle before you blow someone's head off. And the rest of you, get back in formation. Anyway, I'll do my part for the good of Iraq. Ali Ahmed salutes us, but has one eyebrow raised, like he's not serious. He half hugs his cousin and marches back to his squad. Let's go, Shirzad says. We head home, barely talking. I have a weird feeling in my stomach, like something has been jarred loose. The streets look different on our way back, as if we're viewing everything close up through a microscope. I see a dusty walkway leading up to a crumbling brick apartment building. A small kid, in just a t-shirt and no pants, is banging a stick on a brick that has fallen, probably bombed, off his house. I see an elderly woman in a headscarf, waving her arms wildly as she tells a story to a younger woman with wild frizzy hair who was leaning on a broom. I pass a barefoot man with a bandaged head and a weeping woman with children standing nearby helplessly. I see grimy, half-shattered windows and debris on the ground. I don't smell food cooking. No spices, no sweetly baked treats, no coffee or steeping tea. The welcoming scents of the neighborhood are gone. I feel weary and a bit sick. We walked all that way just to see teenagers with AK-47s. They were acting tough and brave, but really the brave people are the ones trying to stay safe and get through the day. These are my people. We leave the older neighborhoods. Now there are yards filled with sand, many blocked off by stone walls. Others have iron fences. Through the black rails, I see old men and young boys working together with shovels and hand drills. Yard after yard, people are working on wells, Shirzad says when Ahmed breaks the silence to ask. The water companies have been bombed. The water pipes aren't flowing. Didn't you notice this morning? I'd noticed. Of course I'd noticed. The toilet's not flushing, the rusty water coming out of our faucets. But, like the messes I left in my bedroom for the house cleaner to tidy, I'd stupidly assumed that someone else would take care of it. Yeah, I helped put together an outhouse yesterday, Mustafa says. None of us knew what we were doing, so anyone can see in. Here's my street. See you tomorrow, if the bombs don't get you first. See ya. I wave to my friend. I walk on with Shirzad, my hands in my pockets. Think we should dig a well? I say. Or an outhouse, Shirzad responds. A well is easier, I point out. It's just digging. I know neither of us has the skills or materials to build a structure. At home, Shirzad and I recruit Ahmed to help. We find 2 good shovels in the back shed. One for Shirzad, one for me. What about me? Ahmed whines. Here. Shirzad gives him a metal rake that we use sometimes to knock down ripe fruit from high branches. Cool, says my little brother. The 3 of us survey the backyard. Where do we start? Ahmed says. Near the old well, I say, sounding more sure of myself than I am. We find a circular iron cap that looks like it covered a well. We start digging a small distance away from it. 3 boys, 2 shovels, and a rake add up to nothing much. Digging down less than a meter. We're almost to America, Ahmed cheers, sticking the pole end of the rake in. Really, Ahmed? Shirzad says. What are you, 4 years old? I was trying to stay positive. Ahmed makes a face at him, then throws his rake down and stomps off. This is an exercise in futility, I declare. Even if we go farther, who knows if we'll find water? We're in the desert. You're right. I know. My older brother wipes his brow. I just feel like we need to do something. I nod. We put the tools back in the shed. Shirzad, I say, remember what we did during the last war? The windows? Right. We race into the house. We look through cupboards in the pantry until... Jackpot, Shirzad says. He holds up 2 rolls of heavy-duty tape. And there's more back here. You know Mama and her stockpiling. I grab a roll of tape from my brother. The 2 of us go to work, taping the sides of the windows. The tape, hopefully, will hold the glass in the window frame, making it stronger and less likely to shatter. It looks safer, I say, admiring our finished work. I saw a couple bottles of Coke hidden in the back of the pantry, Shirzad says. I think we've earned them. I smile, probably for the first time today. Chapter 10. Tuesday, January 22nd, Day 7. My father is home. I'm outside kicking the football around when I see him coming up the street. Baba! I shout, and I kick the ball up to my knees into my hands. My father reaches me and puts his hand on my head. Ali, he says with a small smile. I look up at him. He has dark, dark circles under his eyes. His usually carefully trimmed mustache is sprouting hairs all which ways. He tussles my hair and heads for the front door of the house. I realize I can't remember the last time my father touched me. We are not a family that readily shows affection most of the time. My head still feels warm from my father's hand. I hear excited shrieks from inside. I go in the open front door and see Shireen in my father's arms. Ahmed is jumping up and down. Mama comes out of the kitchen. "Just in time for dinner," she says. Shirzad bounds down the stairs, taking them two at a time. He and Baba high-five. Our family is all together. Between the wars, this would have been normal and unappreciated. Now it seems like a holiday. I hope we have something special to eat. Walking into the kitchen, I see bread and a bowl of date spread. Oh well. Then my mother brings out some bottles of Coca-Cola. That's more like it. After washing up, Baba joins us at the table. We don't talk as we eat. The room feels peaceful. Until Shirzad decides to open his mouth. "How is the war going, Baba?" he asks. My father puts his fork down. When he finishes chewing, he says, "What?" "I just wanted to know how things were going," Shirzad says. "You know, what you've seen, what you've heard." Silence. Uh-oh. Shirzad has broken the unspoken rule. Don't ask about the war. "What I have seen and what I have heard are not conversation for the table," Baba says. "What I have seen and heard, you should be so blessed to never see or hear. In a few years, you will be old enough to fight. Then you will know. Instead of Shirzad Fadhil, you will be just another lamb sent out to the slaughter." My father's voice has risen, so he is almost yelling. During the last sentence, he pounds the table with his fist, making the dishes jump. "Baba, I'm sorry," Shirzad says. He looks like he's about to cry. I didn't know." "Good meal," Father says and pushes back his chair. "I'm going to rest." We spend the afternoon quietly so as not to disturb Baba. At night, we gather in the safe room. It feels safer with my father there. We fall asleep for a while. "Mama! Papa!" Shireen cries out in the dark. After what seems like forever, the outside goes quiet again. I don't hear the all-clear siren, so it must be just a temporary lull. Shireen whimpers in the dark. "Shiri," Baba says, have I ever told you about how I got your mama to marry me?" Shireen shuts her whining. I can't help but smile. My little sister is obsessed with weddings. Her Barbies are always getting married. "The story begins when I was finishing up dental school in Baghdad," Baba says. Shireen isn't the only one listening. Baba is an excellent storyteller. "It was selection day," continues Baba, "where all the students learned where they would begin their practice." "And you selected Basra," Ahmed says. "No, we were not allowed to choose what we wanted," Papa says. "Remember, all medical professionals, including dentists, work for the government. So the government had a system for assignments. We picked them out of a hat." We all laugh. "I am serious." Baba's voice has a smile in it. "The names of towns and cities were written on slips of paper. I reached in and pulled out..." He waits a moment as we lean in to hear more. "Mosul!" "Mosul? That's all the way at the top of Iraq. Basra's at the bottom." "Yes," Baba continues. I thought, all right, so it's Mosul for me. But then my friend told me that his family lived in Mosul, and he was hoping to start his practice there. So I said, let's switch. We traded right then and there. Boom, crack, smash. "Stay calm," Baba says. "It's not our house. We're fine." Really, we're not fine. We are in a war, and we're being bombed. But no one argues the point. After a few moments, the world outside resumes its quiet. "Baba," Shireen says, sounding very young and afraid, "would you please finish the story?" "Well," Baba says, "as you may have guessed, the new slip of paper in my palm said, Basra." "It was your destiny," Shireen gasps. "It certainly wasn't the worst of the assignments," replies my father. "And then you met Mama and lived happily ever..." My sister yawns and her voice trails off. "Not exactly," my mother laughs, "but I think we'll save that part for another time." Shireen fusses. I don't say anything, though. I want to hear the rest of the story also. But my parents tell us to go to sleep. As I'm drifting off, my mother's laugh echoes in my mind. I don't often hear her laugh. I replay that happy sound over and over in my head until I fall asleep. All right, those are the next 2 chapters. Hope you're staying caught up. All right, looking forward to the next 2 chapters tomorrow. Bye, guys.